We're back. Time for another edition of the Carolina Insider. Adam, I know it's tough. We got a lot of stuff going on. We've got our Lenovo tablet. We've got our Coca-Colas. But Reese Jewelers needs you to get your hands on the wheel, Adam. It's time to take a drive through social media, and it's our social drive. We were gone last week. We're back this week and excited about it. But you know who wasn't gone last week, Adam? The Tar Heels in the NFL. They continue to have a bunch of success. That includes Javonte Williams, who has taken over the starter role for the Denver Broncos at the running back position. And Adam, always fun to watch Javonte doing his thing.
Yeah, this is not really a surprise. This is just what Javonte Williams does. The Broncos handed him the ball more this weekend rather than throwing him the ball as they did in the previous week. However you can get the ball to Javonte Williams, you just give him the ball and just let him run over people, because he does it in the NFL just like he did it in college.
This is like the old school Chris Berman when it was like, wop, wop. Yeah, I feel like a lot of those sound effects would work with Javonte Williams.
And I think he'd have a good nickname for Javonte Williams.
How about Mac Hollins? Mac, who's been in the league for several years now. He's been mostly making his way, as he did at Carolina at the beginning, on special teams, seeing some time at wide receiver. But Adam, he had perhaps his most productive game as a pro for the Raiders this weekend. 5 catches on 8 targets, had 66 yards. Unfortunately for the Raiders, they came up short after having a big lead, but good to see Mac having a good day.
Raiders excited about adding Davante Adams. You don't need Davante Adams. You got Mac Hollins. He's just as important as Davante, as Mac really carved out a great spot for himself in the NFL.
So congratulations to both those guys for their good days. Also, Mitch Trubisky, of course, starting with the Steelers. And Michael Carter is heavily involved with the New York Jets. They had a crazy victory this past weekend. So congratulations. Looking forward to seeing all those guys succeed on Sunday as we move through the year. Adam, let's go from football to baseball. And we've mentioned Jacob Stallings a couple of times through the last few seasons here on the Social Drive. And Jake just continues to kind of quietly put together an incredible professional career.
He set an all-time major league record for a catcher, eclipsing Johnny Bench for the most consecutive games without a pass ball from the catcher position. I think we knew when Jacob Stallings was here, we saw him every day. He is a good defensive catcher. There's a big difference in being a good defensive catcher and the best ever at that position in this category. That's really quite an accomplishment as Jacob continues to have a lengthy professional baseball career.
After the game, when Jake set this new record, he was asked about it and had this to say.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it's not the most illustrious major league record probably, but I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I think pass balls is something that's always been important to me to prevent, and yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty cool. I wasn't even aware of it, honestly, until like a couple weeks ago. I guess you guys said something on the broadcast about maybe 5 more games or something, and my dad told me about it. I didn't see it. My dad said something, and then last night pregame, the TV's kind of in the background of the bullpen, and I saw them put a kind of a graphic up of me and Johnny Bench. I was like, oh man, tonight must be the night. So I was pretty nervous all night about it, but yeah, it was a little bit of a different game, just trying to stab balls and not let them get by.
Always thoughtful stuff from Jacob Stallings, and again, congratulations to him for just an incredible mark to set, passing one of the all-time greats. We'll go from that half of the battery to the other half of the battery. That's on the pitcher's mound. And Adam, Daniel Bard, another guy who's been in the league for a long time. He's had a little bit more of a up and down journey, but he's on a big time up on that journey right now, as late in his career, he has taken over the closer position for the Colorado Rockies and is getting it done.
At 37 years old, Daniel Bard has 32 saves this year for a Rockies team that's not great. He got a pair of saves this weekend in Chicago at Wrigley Field, closing it out on Sunday with a quick 1-2-3 inning and throwing 98-99 on a sinker easily at 37 years old. There's never been any question about just the arm for Daniel Bard. It's been, is it all going to come together? And it's all come together in great fashion this year.
Daniel Bard, speaker at the first pitch dinner this past year, kicking off the baseball season this past year for Carolina, and he talked about some of the challenges he's had just with confidence and just being able to find the strike zone. And he retired at one point, was completely out of baseball, came back, so congratulations to him getting it done later in his career. Good to see him having that kind of success. All right, Adam, let's go to a couple. These are unique items that we have here to finish things off here. We'll start with, we've been talking about, if you're an audio podcast listener, we've been talking about restaurants on Franklin Street, kind of old, not old, they're just all-time restaurants, where they were located, some favorites. And I think UNC Archives must have been listening at them because they put up this poll about which restaurant people wanted to see return to Franklin Street or to Chapel Hill. UNC Alumni Review did this. Pepper's Pizza, #1 on the list.
Yeah, now where do you fall on this, Jones? Like, off of this list, what do you want back? We've, of course, had Ye Olde Waffle Shop on the pod right as they were closing. Pie Wacket, I don't think I ever went to Pie Wacket. The rest are a little more familiar. The Porthole, that's a generation before us,
Yeah,
I
that's
think.
a little farther back.
They're the ones that had the rolls.
Yeah.
35 Chinese is where Coach Guthridge went to the buffet
That's
every
true.
Tuesday or whatever it was.
I've got to go the Rat, right? I mean, Rat's got to be #1.
Yeah, that's what I would have said.
Was it dangerous to eat in there?
Yes.
It was underground.
And
There's only one way in and out.
the health codes were more like a suggestion. You can still get the Gambler and the Double Gambler out in Pittsburgh at the soda shop, but there was just something about kind of walking downstairs. It's a little bit dark. You're writing on the booths. You're not sure exactly what's in everything. The lasagna is actually on fire as it goes into your mouth, and flames are coming out your ears. That's the kind of thing we need more of, Jones. I want my personal safety to be at risk when I'm eating dinner.
I haven't thought about the Double Gambler in a while. It's a good one.
S&T Soda Shop, baby.
How about this one, Adam? You found this one on social media this week. What is going on here? This is some cheerleaders or football players. It looks like an old football schedule, but for some reason there's some rifles involved.
Yeah. This is probably not how you would present the schedule today, but I think that's the 1962 Carolina football schedule, and it looks like perhaps the Tar Heels are taking aim at these opponents, but they only had the 4 rifles, so the other 3 guys are supervising.
They're just ready to tackle somebody.
They're the lookouts in case, like, Duke's got rifles also.
That's a good schedule. Duke, Notre Dame, Virginia, Clemson, Wake, South Carolina, Maryland, Michigan State, Ohio State, NC State. Would you take that schedule right now? Might be a bit challenging.
I would prefer not to play that schedule right now unless I had the rifles. And then Michigan State's not coming in here if they're like, watch out, these guys are armed.
All right, we'll go from there to Adam, of course, big news on the global scale that with the passing of Queen Elizabeth at the age of 96. And Adam, as we have frequently been reminded over the last 2 weeks or so, Queen Elizabeth came to 1 football game, college football game, in her lifetime in America. It was the Tar Heels against Maryland, obviously.
She said, let me see the best. I may only ever see one of these in my 96 years. I want it to be Tar Heels and Terps at the Palace of Byrd Stadium. And unfortunately, Carolina not on the winning side that day. But I think it's fair to say that Queen Elizabeth was incredibly impressed.
Yeah, she went back across the pond and said, let me tell you boys about the Tar Heels over there.
They gave her some sort of statue. Not sure what that is, but she likes it.
By the way, of course, Adam, the Queen, from England. Also, we had a couple of terrific guests that we've already spoken to. Hasn't come out yet for the audio podcast. Looking forward to this interview hitting the airwaves soon.
Emily Murphy and Ruby Grant from women's soccer are currently not here because they're clearing space on their shelf for the potty that they're going to win for this interview right here. Look at those arms crossed serious
faces.
faces.
Are good ones. Those are big time.
I don't know.
Emily Murphy's serious face is one of the most terrifying ones I think I've ever seen.
I think that's past serious onto
anger.
Intimidating, like something's getting ready to throw down face. Whereas Ruby Grant just looks like she's kind of watching the door to make sure nobody comes in to mess with Emily.
Yep.
I don't remember what's happening in that bottom right picture, but I'm sure it was hilarious. And it was a great interview. More than likely running on Tuesday. Recommend you checking out the audio pod for that one.
All right, we're out of time. We have a great Come Cascada with me from the men's soccer game at Duke, but we'll hold it. We'll hold it to next week because we're out of time. Thanks for being with us here on the Carolina Insider.